Stephen King knows a thing or two about writing, and many of his books have been adapted for the big screen. So when he talks on the subject of movies, people listen. Here are 10 films that he is on record as saying he's not a fan of. These films may have found some audience, but if Stephen King himself says they're not worth your time, it might be wise to heed his advice. After all, life's too short for bad movies. Transformers. Stephen King admits there's only one movie he's ever walked out of as an adult, and this is the one. Despite the blockbuster buzz and the high praise it received for its groundbreaking special effects, King seemed to side with the critics who felt the movie was running on empty when it came to storyline and character development. The film, directed by Michael Bay, certainly delivered on the visual spectacle with its massive, shape-shifting robots and explosive action sequences. But for King, all that flashy CGI couldn't make up for the thin plot and forgettable characters.
We're under attack!
We're facing war against a technological civilization far superior to our own. Our enemy can take any shape. They could be anywhere.
In his review of Kill Bill Volume 1, Stephen King wasn't exactly handing out compliments. He described the film as tepid and didn't shy away from criticizing Quentin Tarantino's broader style either. King took issue with what he saw as an excessive reliance on over-the-top violence, a signature Tarantino move that, in his view, overshadowed the substance of the story.
You didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you?
You know, for a second there, yeah, I kind of did.
Stephen King didn't hold back when he described The Godfather Part III as opulent, incoherent, and boring. He went even further, labeling it as a movie that doesn't matter, which stings even more given the legacy of its predecessors. Even Al Pacino's return as Michael couldn't save the movie from feeling like an unnecessary epilogue to a saga that should have ended on a high note.
This is business. I know you're into banks and Wall Street, but everyone knows you're the final word. You're like the Supreme Court. All I want to do is protect you from these guys, and your lawyers can't do that. I said we make them dead. You give me the order, I'll take care of it.
The Shining. King famously had issues with Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of his novel, particularly with the portrayals of Jack and Wendy Torrance. Jack Nicholson's Jack Torrance was too unhinged from the start for King's liking, missing the gradual descent into madness that defined the character in the book. Despite criticism, even King had to admit that the film looked beautiful, though he likened it to a Cadillac with no engine. Stunning to look at, but lacking the heart and soul.
Here's Johnny!
The Twilight Saga. Stephen King didn't mince words when it came to his thoughts on this franchise. He wasn't a fan of the books, and the films didn't do much to change his mind. King felt that the central story should have had far more depth, criticizing the series for its shallow portrayal of romance. He even went so far as to describe the film adaptations as nothing more than tweenager porn.
You're impossibly fast and strong. You gotta give me some answers.
I'd rather hear your theories.
I have considered radioactive spiders and kryptonite.
It's all superhero stuff, right? What if I'm not the hero? What if I'm the bad guy?
The Hunger Games. Despite writing in 2008 that he was eager for new installments of the book series, by 2013, King had decided he liked neither the literary nor movie version. In the latter interview, he said, after reading the first book in the series, he didn't feel an urge to go on.
I volunteer as tribute.
Our tributes, Peter Malark and Katniss Everdeen.
They just want a good show. That's all they want.
There's 24 of us, Gail. Only one comes out.
50 Shades of Grey. It's unclear if Stephen King ever sat through the film adaptation of 50 Shades of Grey, but he certainly had strong feelings about the book. King dismissed the novel as highly charged, sexually driven fiction, targeted more at young women between 18 and 25. rather than the mommy label it often gets. Whether or not the film captured the essence of the book is up for debate, but King's critique of the original text suggests he wasn't too impressed with its literary merits, or lack thereof.
You're a sadist?
I'm a dominant.
What does that mean?
It means I want you to willingly surrender yourself to me.
Why would I do that?
To please me.
To please you.
The Running Man. This adaptation of Stephen King's novel is a prime example of Hollywood taking creative liberties, very far from what King originally penned. The movie deviates wildly from the source material, transforming the gritty, dystopian thriller into more of an action-packed sci-fi spectacle. King was especially critical of the casting of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the lead role.
He must pay or play the running man.
On your mark!
I'll be back.
Go!
The highest rated TV show in history.
Guess they want us to stay.
Another Stephen King adaptation that the author himself wasn't fond of. Dreamcatcher is a film that King has openly criticized. He wrote the novel after a serious accident, during which he was pretty stoned, and later admitted that the book shows the drugs at work. Unfortunately, the movie didn't fare any better than the novel in King's eyes. Despite a star-studded cast, including Morgan Freeman and Damian Lewis, the film turned out to be a jumbled mess of sci-fi horror.
The legend says pleasant dreams pass through the center. While nightmares become entangled in its web. This time, evil slips through.
Firestarter. Stephen King himself wasn't too thrilled with this adaptation, calling it one of the worst and comparing it to flavorless cafeteria mashed potatoes. Despite the promising premise and King's chilling source material, the movie ended up being more of a slow burn than a fiery thrill ride. Even with a cast that includes Martin Sheen and George C. Scott, it couldn't quite ignite the suspense and terror that made the novel a hit.
Charlie! Come to me, Charlie.
You're gonna have to burn it down. I mean, burn it all down.